This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
So that's it? You were just gonna leave without saying anything? You're just gonna take off for Thailand, build houses for all of those elephants without even saying goodbye to me after everything that we talked about? What is it with you, Adam? You can't keep running away. I mean, what are you running from? Yourself? What do you think you're gonna find? What do you want me to say? Don't go? Well then, fine. I will say it. Don't go!
Quiet, riot.
The scene, a perfect little town in middle America where it always snows on cue. The pace of life is slow here. There is a lot of pie baking and snowman competitions. None of the distractions of the big city like gay people or black people or fancy coffee or any depth of any sort. He is some sort of lumberjack, yet so well groomed he looks a little gay, but that's okay, it makes him non-threatening. We don't want any actual sexual chemistry here. This is a family film. He is also secretly a millionaire, or a prince, or Santa's son. Oh, and a single father, whose wife either died or left him, we are never explicitly told. Probably died, because who would leave this dreamboat? She, on the other hand, is a hard-headed, Harvard graduate, cold career woman who hates Christmas. There for some convoluted reason. She has lost sight of what really matters, you see. But Hallmark is about to teach her a lesson. Hallmark has pumped out over 800 of these original movies, and I use the term original very loosely. Its countdown to Christmas last year featured 42 of them. This year it is 47. Over 80 million people watched at least a few minutes of its 2023 season opener. For a decade now it has been the top-rated cable network in America for the month of December among the very advertiser-friendly demographic of women between 25 and 54. This allows it to charge an advertising premium that generates over a third of its entire revenue during this 1 month. Factor in all the Me Too movies with low-budget companies and big streaming networks getting in on the act, and this is a multi-billion-dollar sector. But where do these films have their roots? Are they a new phenomenon or just the modern version of Pride and Prejudice? Are they an anti-capitalist subversion teaching that work and materialism do not equal happiness? Or are they a MAGA misogynist festival that seeks to humiliate women who have the temerity to seek a life, education or career outside their hometown? I compared notes with the film critic Linda Marric to get to the bottom of their enduring and, given the quality, pretty surprising popularity. Hello, Linda.
Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for agreeing to record this festive special for us. We're not going to be talking about good Christmas movies today, though. We're going to be talking about really terrible ones. And very specifically, the sort of, Hallmark is the exemplar of the genre, but everyone is getting in on the act now. Lifetime have been making them for a long time, but also big producers like Netflix and Amazon, etc., are doing their own now. So, because I guess it's too lucrative a market.
I am so sorry, officer.
Is there something funny about breaking the law, ma'am?
No. I wasn't trying to make anything seem funny.
That's enough, ma'am. Step out of the vehicle, ma'am.
Are you serious?
Yes, ma'am. Just step out of the vehicle.
Okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm just kidding with you. I know I need to stop doing this, but sometimes I can't help myself.
Well, talk about breaking the law.
Impersonating an overly serious officer?
Well, in that case, officer, Williams?
Call me Matthew.
Officer Matthew?
Just Matthew.
I'm Kathy, by the way.
Well, I wish we had met under less reckless conditions, Kathy.
So, do you ever watch any of them? It's the first question, I guess.
In all honesty, no, I don't. Unless I'm doing some work and I'm asked to deliberately search for one and review it, no, it's not my thing. Although, I mean, there was interest in that Christmas and the Raps from a couple of years ago, which was the return of Lindsay Lohan, like her first big film back, and it was for Netflix rather than Hallmark. But it might as well have been a Hallmark movie because it had all of that, the same kind of cliches and tropes that the Hallmark movies usually have.
I become slightly obsessed with them for about 3 days every year. Just because they're so bad, I actually actively look out for the worst ones.
For me, I think the thing about these films, they haven't just come out of nowhere. What they're trying to do is recapture earlier sort of rom-com movies. Hallmark's only been around since 2001, and it was built on that kind of feel-good romantic comedy feeling, the repetitive, like really repetitive. They all have more or less the same kind of narrative, the same kind of plot. The whole of the Hallmark Channel was built on giving people that kind of warm, fuzzy feeling, but it has its roots in the humble romantic comedy. If you think about it, films like Baby Boom from 1987, which stars...
I adore Baby Boom, Diane Keaton.
Diane Keaton. I loved Baby Boom for so many, many years, but rewatching it very recently, I felt like, did I really love it? These films all have the same kind of trick, which is about a woman leaving behind great opportunities for the sake of love, for the sake of meeting the man of her dreams and sort of shedding her city life, all of the good things and then freedom that came with living in a big city, to become sort of humble and humbled, more importantly, by this kind of condescending macho bloke. It's usually a woman leaves her job, her high-paying job, to go to a small town, meets this kind of like a rugged, manly man in countryside gear.
Yes. And the profession, the profession is extremely important.
That's very important.
For Thanksgiving, because there is a small clutch of them around Thanksgiving, and it has to be harvest something. So apple harvest, pear harvester, cider maker, or pumpkin grower. I mean, these professions can never be too much on the nose. In the Christmas one, he's either a lumberjack, or he owns a small toy store. That's quite popular as well. Or he's a baker, a sort of specialist gingerbread maker, or a vet. For some reason, a veterinarian is incredibly popular in all those, because I guess there's a lot of opportunity to see him looking hot with animals.
Exactly. The other twist with it is that on top of that nice job sort of using his hands that he's got, he's also someone who just happens to have inherited huge amounts of money. Has decided to somehow stick with that job. I mean, you get in Reese Witherspoon movie, Sweet Home Alabama, which is not really a holiday movie, but it has the same kind of tropes, the same kind of plot, which is Reese Witherspoon, high-flying city girl, about to marry a very handsome city guy, goes back home to let her family know that, she's getting married. And once she goes home, she's reunited again with Josh Lucas as her childhood love or childhood friend. And somehow they fall in love. And then she somehow also finds out that he's inherited shitloads of money and he's doing really well with his life. And it's so ridiculous. It reduces women to these superficial human beings who are only validated, or who only validate people for the amount of money they have. Or it's a really bizarre, it's a really anti-feminist stance to have towards women.
It's
And
misogynistic. It's not just anti-feminist.
yeah.
It's sort of actively, and I mean, I guess that's where I think the more quality rom-coms cleave away. Okay, because, for instance, I don't know. Let's talk about Baby Boom, because it's
Yeah.
the archetypal one of that
Yeah, I love that movie.
kind. She leaves her job out of empowerment. She doesn't leave her job because she wants to go to the countryside
Yeah.
and be a housewife. She leaves the job because she thinks she's not getting the promotion that she deserved,
Yeah.
and becomes a kind of business magnate even from her home in the countryside.
Yeah.
And sticks with that. She doesn't give that up at the end in order to have the veterinarian, actually, again, in that case.
Yeah.
I went to Harvard. I graduated at the top of my class for what? To spend my life fixing up this dilapidated shack? Well, you can just forget it. I need to work. I need people. I need a social life. I need sex.
Please, I'm a married man.
And also, I guess the script is better. It's just genuinely better written and funnier. Or something like The Proposal, Sandra Bullock, and it's exactly the same trope, right? Hard-hearted career woman from the city has her heart melted by the love and welcome of a small town place. But, when things are well written, it elevates them above the trope, if that makes sense. In the Hallmark ones, they lean into that. I mean, you said she always has some sort of city career. It doesn't really matter what, but she's some high-powered CEO, pressure.
Yeah. It's always the trick here within the story is always to humble the woman, to make her feel stupid, to make her feel insignificant for daring to want a life outside the small village, a small town. And that's what I don't like about it. Actually, as you rightly said about Baby Boom, which all of these movies are trying to steal from, Baby Boom was quite aware that women weren't there just to be mothers and wives. And that's what was good about it. Even the Reese Witherspoon movie, the Sweet Home Alabama, it's kind of quirky and funny, and she gives as good as she gets. But at the same time, there is some deep misogyny within that kind of storyline. And Hallmark have changed a little bit now. They're attempting to introduce newer things to it. Like the reason why one of the biggest stars, Candace Cameron Bure, left Hallmark a couple of years ago. She decided to, after making, I think, 17 to 18 movies, like she was the literal star of that channel. She left because they started showing gay narratives for gay stories. Like she set up her own company, or she was helped in setting up her own company called Great American Family Network, which only showcases straight love stories. There's a lot about the Hallmark stamp here that feels very, anti-progressive, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it feels quite MAGA.
Yeah, very MAGA.
And because, like I said, I've been getting obsessed with these films really for a couple of days a year. But for a long time, I kind of binge watch 7 or 8 of them, always in the space of a couple of days just before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I can track the development where at the start, maybe you had a best friend who was black, maybe you had a best friend who was gay, but they were left behind in the city. They were part of that environment. And as soon as the heroine sort of makes it to the small country town, it was all white, all straight. And recently, it's quite interesting. So recently, Hallmark has been making an effort. So there are now several films that feature black casts, and there are even a few films that feature interracial love stories. And I find this very interesting. they are almost always between a white man and a light-skinned woman of color.
Yeah, that is so American, though, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
very much like those kind of conversations are not even had.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's just so nonchalant. But the way the couples are matched in these kind of romantic comedies, it's almost never mentioned. In America, there is a thing about color more than class. Really, color is really still very much at the forefront of everything. I mean,
And I find it interesting that the biggest taboo seems to be, and I've only found one very recent film that breaks that, a black man with a white woman.
yes,
That really is the place where they're very, very hesitant to go.
yeah.
There was one film last year that featured a gay couple as the main couple of the story,
Yes,
not as a background plot line. And
Yeah.
this year, there's two of them. There's one with gay men and one with lesbian women. So. And the other development that I've noticed that I know will tickle you is that they've started making some Hanukkah
Oh, yeah, I like that.
rom-coms. So there's Love Lights Hanukkah, Hanukkah on Rye, Hanukkah on the Rocks, and the 8 Gifts of Hanukkah.
Brilliant.
So they're kind of making an effort, and as they make an effort to maybe become a little bit more inclusive, there are offshoots of other companies that go, no, we're just going to make white ones, or there are offshoots of companies that make much more Christian ones. There's a famously bad one that's called A Law for Christmas that is basically all about the man eschewing his career because God told him to, and being determined to make the woman discover God, as it were.
Wait. You went to law school.
Unbelievable, right? A country bumpkin like me, graduating law school, top of his class. I went to Harvard Law School.
Wait. What? You went to Harvard?
Yep.
What on earth are you doing here? You should be in D.C. or New York. They're always looking for great lawyers.
It wasn't my plan. I should say it wasn't God's plan for my life.
So, yes, I acknowledge all of that, the lack of diversity, the overt misogyny. I mean, one of the films, and I jotted it down, one of the ones I was watching for research, ends with a heroine actually saying, "My mum would be so glad I finally have my perfect family. I wish she was here to see it. It's what I always wanted all along, but I guess my job and fast-paced New York lifestyle just kept me too busy to realize it. Thank you, Dan, for making me have the life I always wanted."
It's so awful. It's so awful. It really is. It's awful. It's so depressing. It's just like, you know, it's like The Devil Wears Prada, where the main character gives up on her dream of being a fashion person because some idiot boyfriend thinks that he's losing her. I hate all of that. I yearn for narratives about women who choose their career over everything else. I just find it so unbelievably just anti-woman.
Yeah, it really is.
The
Amount of mansplaining that goes on in those films is also quite astonishing. I mean, the man will always be showing her the kind of moment when they almost kiss, but something interrupts them. There's always one like that. And the man will be showing her something incredibly offensive, like I seem to remember one where he was like, "Let me show you how to pick a pear." And it's like, man, are you really mansplaining pears to her right there? Is that way? He's like, "You twist until it's like, what is happening? Am I actually watching this?
Careful now.
You know, you shouldn't sneak up on people when they're halfway up a ladder.
Oh, I wasn't going to let you fall. Although I do think I should show you the proper way to pick a pear.
You know, I spent quite a few autumns here. I think I know how to pick fruit.
Let me show you. You need to lift and slightly twist. And if it's ripe, it should just land in your hand. with the stem attached.
I think I got the hang of it now.
But hear me out. While being all of that stuff, they're also quite anti-capitalist. And that always surprises me, because there is also another message there that money and things and a big apartment are not going to make you happy.
No, but they're not being anti-capitalist. They're being anti a woman being in charge of her money and in charge of something bigger. I don't think they are anti-capitalist in the way we understand. This is why I said at the beginning, the male counterpart always has to have money he can fall back on, regardless of anything. And the only reason he's a safe bet is because he might appear poor at the beginning, but the big reveal is that he is the inheritant of this big fortune of, this ancient family. And so I don't really think it's super anti-capitalist. I think
I think you're right. I could see that point. It's about her valuing those things instead of the things that she ought to value. And it's always her that has to give up her career. I really haven't found many where the man has to give up his career.
Exactly.
In order to stay in the small town for love. The most they have to do is the alternative narrative is that he's the Grinch and she's the one that softens him. And in that narrative, he just has to do one nice thing for Christmas, not bulldoze the entire town on Christmas Day, and he's off the hook.
Yeah, I mean, you've not the Shop Around Corner, the remake of it. You Got Mail.
Yeah,
You Got Mail is the most. At first, it seems like being anti-capitalist. This small shop is being stifled by the big bookshop, and the big bookshop belongs to the love interest. But in the end, what happens to the bookshop is that it still closes. So Hollywood doesn't want to give us the happy socialist ending. Hollywood will always have an ending where money counts over any kind of sentimentalism. That is the most important thing.
Not only that, but in You've Got Mail, the final message is actually that the massive franchise bookshop is better at being a small bookshop than the small bookshop was, that it gives wonderful service to its customers. But listen, You've Got Mail is Kurosawa compared to what I've been waiting, I mean, I saw one, Linda, where the man in the story turns out to be, without knowing it, the literal son of Santa Claus. Oh, and there's a whole offshoot that are royal.
Oh, yes, a royal Christmas. And, I've seen a couple of those.
So that's another fantasy, I guess, somewhere there that I'm going back to what I said, and I think you're right. The message is not, don't be a capitalist. The message is that if you're a woman, you can use your uterus to get all that stuff. You don't have to be working, having a career and stuff like that. The other thing, and I wonder what you make of this, that has become increasingly popular in the last 4 or 5 years, and there are hundreds of these. Hallmark has made more than 800 since 2001. Their countdown to Christmas last year featured 42 original Hallmark films, and this year it's 47. I mean, that's pretty much one a week.
It's giving jobs to every jobbing actor out there in Hollywood, which is a good thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. It tends to be the same ones that do all of them. They even made a double one, which it seems like an extraordinary way to save money. So they did a film called Sister Swap. And one of the films is called Sister Swap, A Hometown Holiday, and the other one is called Sister Swap, Christmas in the City. It's all about two sisters that swap. And half the film is the same film.
Yeah.
edited slightly differently, like different camera angle, but half the scenes are actually the same scenes, which seems an extraordinary way to save money. But the thing that's become really popular the last few years, and I wonder if that also means something, is single fathers with children.
Oh, yeah.
So widowers on the whole.
Mm.
And I wonder whether that's an acknowledgement that a lot of women now don't necessarily see themselves as having children. So it's a way to provide them with almost a ready-made DIY family.
Yeah.
Like, here you go. You don't have to go through the pain and messiness of actual giving birth. We're just going to give you a rich husband and some incredibly cute, loving kids as a package.
It's a trope. I don't know about you when you were growing up, what kind of books you read, but as a teenage girl, I was sort of finding out about things in life and love and whatnot. I used to read tons and tons of Harlequin books.
Oh, yes, my mum used to read those.
Mills and Boons and Harlequin, and like completely not suitable for my age, I'm sure. I was like reading them at age 12, 13. So, and that kind of sort of bringing life back into a widower is a trope that also can be found in those books. So I think all of the Hallmark stuff does not come from nowhere. It's basically mining all the sort of classic romantic tropes and making them into an industry. And it's really sort of managing to do that. It's ridiculous. It's silly, very sort of reductive and harmful to the way women see themselves. It is a big industry. And, I suggest that someone with a more open, more liberal attitude open up a new network making Hallmark style films, but with a more
woke ones,
and more progressive.
That would make them explode, I think.
Make them explode. More progressive outlook on life. Like let's see some LGBTQs, let's see some trans people, let's see some women, who don't believe in God. That kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm sure it must be out there. It's probably too small for us to have noticed. But the thing is that they're so poorly written. The unforgivable bit, I guess, is that they're incredibly bad as films, like even on their own terms. They keep explaining their motivations and their life story. I was watching one where they were trying to build some sort of backstory to a secondary character, the main guy's sister, by giving her a bit of a backstory. And the only opportunity they could find for her to do that was to explain it to her own brother. And it's like, why are you telling him where you went to university and what job you had afterwards? He knows this. He's your brother. There's only the two of you in the room. What are you doing?
It's ridiculous. It really is. It's like feeding random words into ChatGPT and asking it to come up with a storyline. Generally,
oh my God, they might be ChatGPT.
They must do that. They must.
They must do that. Sorry, before I let you go,
yes,
a weird counterfactual to all the stuff we were talking about. I'll give you two, actually.
Yeah, go
the
on.
first one is this, that according to a big piece of YouGov research, the happiest group among all demographics are women between 30 and 49, I think, who have never been married and never had children.
There you go. There you go.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
And the second counterfactual is that the main consumers of these Hallmark films are women between 30 and 49. And I found that quite a stark contrast. It is actually mostly women who consume this misogynist claptrap.
Yeah, it's bizarre. And if you ask them, they'll probably say to you, I don't agree with most of it, but it's entertaining. It's switch your brain off and watch, I think people watch them to feel kind of fuzzy inside and not for any other reason. I mean, they don't really have that much depth, do they? So I don't know.
No, I guess not. But then again, we don't know what kind of women watch them, I guess. Maybe it is women who have made these kinds of choices in their lives and are made to feel better for them. They're made to feel that, oh, you're not missing much anyway. The city's horrible. Having a career is horrible. So you made the right choice. Quiet riot. Okay, so in order to cleanse ourselves from this filth, can I ask you for your favorite Christmas film, just to leave people with a good recommendation?
I have a couple. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
That's my obvious one. My second favorite Christmas movie is The Holiday, I'm afraid. I just think it's such a wonderful movie.
Is that the one where Cameron Diaz
Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jude Law
swap houses, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, that is very good.
I love that movie. That is very good. Yeah. But I do, I like a Christmas movie. There's a really good movie called Family Man about this sort of loner, a guy who never wanted to get married or anything, goes to sleep on Christmas Eve and wakes up and he's married and he has a whole family. And I think I would say go and seek that out.
Kate Reynolds.
Her assistant said you could reach her at home after 8.
Kate Reynolds was my girlfriend in college. I almost married her.
You married?
Almost married. She didn't want me to go to London. We're standing at the airport saying goodbye, and she asks me to stay.
So you left her?
Wasn't easy.
Oh, stop it. I'm getting all weepy.
I took the road less traveled, Adele.
And look where it took you.
8:35 on Christmas Eve. Jack Campbell's still at his desk. Now there's a Hallmark moment for you.
I like all sorts of... Is When Harry Met Sally a Christmas movie? I always think of it as a Christmas movie.
Yeah, I think it's a more New Year's movie, actually, weirdly, even though that's not a thing.
Yeah.
My favorite one, like from my childhood, is No Batteries Required. Is that the right title? Yeah. Batteries not included, I mean. With the little alien robots.
Yeah, I love that movie.
It's a really beautiful, beautiful film and very warm and generous-hearted, I think. Yeah, so those are our recommendations, but I will drop some examples of the worst Hallmark ones I've come across for you if you want to explore the genre. I will put some in the show notes as well. Thank you, Linda.
Thanks so much, Alex.
And have the happiest of holiday seasons.
You too.
I hope it's very restful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers.
Quiet riot. I hope you are enjoying the festive content that we have put together for you. We are a team of 3.5 people working out of a tiny basement. And much like a Hallmark movie, we think our love should be unconditional. So we make all of our content available for free to everyone and rely on your generosity to make that happen. If you want us to keep doing what we're doing, you can support us with a one-off gift or a small monthly stipend on ko-fi.com/Quiet Riot Pod. And if you cannot afford to do that, you can help us by cajoling, badgering, and recruiting more people to listen to our podcast. So if you had fun, tell everyone. I leave you with these wise words from Hallmark's 'Tis the Season to Be Merry. You were just going to leave without saying anything? You were just going to take off for Thailand to build houses for all of those elephants without even saying goodbye to me after everything we talked about?
Quiet Riot is an audio production by Cooler Heads with Naomi Smith, Alex Andreou and Kenny Campbell. Music by Mariana Sangeeta, artwork by Simona Canelu. Quiet Riot is a co-production with Sandstone Global.
Quiet Riot. Coming this December, Lydia leaves her big city job to run her grandmother's Christmas tree farm, and sparks fly when she crosses paths with her high school sweetheart. The only catch, he's young Santa.
Is that your fiancé who lives in the city?
He works too much, so it's okay if I cheat on him.
Jessica Normal and Canadian handsome Chris Bearstick star in Yes, Santa. Michelle is a single mother and struggling baker whose Christmas wish goes horribly wrong. Now she's trapped in a snow globe, and the only person who can get her out before Christmas is her black coworker with no backstory.
Marcus, I'm in here.
Now what in the world?
He says that same line 4 separate times. It's Kitchen Christmas Wish. Sarah qualified for the Kingdom's Christmas Ice Skating Prize, but when she hits her head and gets amnesia, she forgets her ice skating routine and accidentally becomes a princess, starring a once famous, now very Christian actress, Meredith DeVoe Ellis. And Chris Bearstick. We got him to be in 2 of these for no pay.
You look familiar. Did I know you before I hit my head?
I'm the prince, and you will be my princess.
Another proposal.
Rudolph, will you bring my sleigh around?
What? It's Prince Santa.